Welcome once again to our commerce classroom. Final accounts of banking companies, part 1. Final accounts of banking companies. We begin with the definition of banking. The Banking Regulation Act 1949 defines banking as the accepting for the purpose of lending or investment of deposits of money from the public, repayable on demand or otherwise, and withdrawable by check, draft, order or otherwise. Section 5. From this definition, it is clear that banks are accepting deposits from the public for the purpose of lending or investment. That money accepted from the public, repayable on demand or otherwise. The depositor can withdraw the amount of deposit by check, draft, order or otherwise. This is what the meaning of this definition. Then we discuss what are the different businesses in which a banking company may engage. First business, the borrowing, raising or taking up of money. Second, the lending or advancing of money either upon or without security. Then thirdly, the drawing, making, accepting, discounting, buying, selling, collecting and dealing in bills of exchange, hundis, promissory notes, coupons, drafts, bill of lading, railway receipts, warrants, debentures, certificates, scrips and other instruments and securities, whether transferable or negotiable or not. Then fourth, the granting and issuing of letter of credit, traveler's check and circular notes. Fifth business, on receiving of all kinds of bonds, scrips or valuables on deposit or for safe custody or otherwise. Sixth point, the buying, selling and dealing in bullion. Seventh, the collecting and transmitting of money and securities. Eighth, contracting for public and private loans and negotiating and issuing the same. Ninth, carrying on and transacting every kind of guarantees and indemnity business. Tenth business, undertaking and executing trust. These are the different types of business in which a banking company may engage. Then we discuss what are the books to be maintained by banks. Receiving cashier's counter cash book, paying cashier's counter cash book, sectional cash book, cash balance book, current accounts ledger, savings bank accounts ledger, fixed deposit accounts ledger, investment ledger, bills discounted and purchased ledger, loan ledger, cash credit ledger, customers acceptances, endorsements and guarantee ledger, recurring deposits accounts ledger. These are the different types of books to be maintained by banks. Then statutory reserve. As per section 17, banking companies incorporated in India shall transfer every year at least 25% of its profit before any dividend is declared to statutory reserve until the amount of reserve together with the securities premium account is equal to the paid up capital. Cash reserve. Banks are required to maintain with the Reserve Bank of India a cash reserve of at least 3% of the total of its demand and time liabilities in India. RBI can raise CRR up to 15%. Then statutory liquidity ratio SLR. Banks are also required to maintain at least 25% of the demand and time liabilities in the form of liquid assets like cash, gold or unencumbered approved securities. Statutory liquidity ratio may vary in a range of 25% to 40%. Then non-banking assets. Banks usually lend against the security of some assets. If a borrower fails to repay the loans, the bank has to take the possession of the assets given as security. In such a case, the assets acquired in satisfaction of claims of banks are termed as non-banking assets. These are the assets which are not used in the ordinary course of business of banking, but they are such immovable and movable properties which come under the possession of the banking company for recovering the amount due from customers. Then we discuss minimum capital and reserves of banking companies. In the case of a banking company incorporated outside India but not having place of business in the city of Calcutta or Mumbai, the sum of its paid up capital and reserves shall not be less than rupees 15 lakh, and if it has a place of business in Mumbai or Calcutta or in both, rupees 20 lakh. In case of a banking company incorporated in India, the sum of its paid up capital and reserves shall not be less than the amount mentioned below. If it has places of business in more than one state, rupees 5 lakh, and if any such place of business is situated in Mumbai or Calcutta or in both, rupees 10 lakh. If it has all its places of business in one state, none of which is Mumbai or Calcutta, rupees 1 lakh in respect of its principal place of business, plus rupees 10,000 for each additional place of business in the same district, plus rupees 25,000 for each place of business elsewhere in the state. The maximum amount required being rupees 5 lakh. Then we discuss features of a bank's accounting system. First feature, entries in the personal ledgers are made directly from the vouchers. Second feature, from such entries in the personal ledgers, each day summary sheets in total are prepared, which are posted to the control accounts in the general ledger. Third feature, the general ledger's trial balance is extracted and agreed every day. Fourth feature, all entries in the personal ledgers and summary sheets are checked by persons other than those who have recorded entries. It helps in detection of mistakes. Fifth feature, a trial balance of detailed personal ledgers is prepared periodically and gets agreed with the general ledger control accounts. Sixth feature, 2 vouchers are prepared for every transaction not involving cash. These are the features of a bank's accounting system. Then we discuss the slip system. This is not a system of bookkeeping, but a method of rapidly posting entries to the books kept on double entry system. In this system, Posting is made from slips prepared inside the organization itself or from slips filled in by its customers. In a banking company, the main slips are pay-in slips, withdrawal slips, and checks, and all these slips are filled in by clients of the bank. Advantages of slip system. First advantage, it makes accounts reliable. Second advantage, slips are the basis of auditing. Third advantage, the bank saves a lot of clerical labor as most of the slips are filled in by its customers. Fourth advantage, there is no need for keeping subsidiary books. These are the advantages of slip system. Then disadvantages of slip system. First disadvantage, slips may be lost, destroyed, or misappropriated as these are loose. Second disadvantage, in the absence of subsidiary books, books cannot be verified. Third disadvantage, it is very difficult and expensive to keep date-wise record of a large number of slips. Fourth disadvantage of slip system, customers feel difficulty on account of slip system. These are the disadvantages of slip system. Then we discuss about rebate on bills discounted or unexpired discounts. The whole amount of discount on bills discounted may not be related to that particular accounting year. A part of it may be related to next accounting period. This is so because at the close of the accounting year, some of the bills discounted may not have matured. In short, rebate on bills discounted means the unearned amount or discount received for those bills which mature after the date of closing the final accounts. It is also called unexpired discounts or discount received in advance. It is carried forward to next year by passing the following entry: interest and discount account debtor to rebate on bills discounted. If rebate on bills discounted is given in trial balance, it should be taken to balance sheet under other liabilities and provisions. If it is given under adjustments, it should be deducted from interest and discount in profit and loss account and should be taken to balance sheet under other liabilities and provisions. At the commencement of next accounting year, it is transferred to interest and discount accounts by reversing the above entry. Then we solve one problem. In respect of the following transactions of Super Bank Limited, pass necessary journal entries as well as their treatment in the profit and loss account and balance sheet for the year ended 31st December 2018. The following bills are discounted at 4%. Here we have columns for discounted on date column, then amounts, then terms in months. First bill discounted on 23/12/2018, its amount 60,000, term 3 months. Second bill discounted on 19/9/2018, amount 1 lakh, terms 4 months. Third bill discounted on 20/10/2018, amount 4 lakh, terms 3 months. Then last bill, fourth bill discounted on 30/11/2018, amount 40,000, terms 5 months. Then solution, calculation of rebate on bills discounted. We provided columns for due date, number of days after 31st December 2018, then amount, rate of discount in percentage, unexpired discounts. Our first bill discounted on 23/12/2018, its term is 3 months. By adding 3 months to this 23/12/2018 we get 23/3/2019. For computing due date we have to add 3 days of grace. So due date of our first bill 26/3/2019. The number of days after 31st December 2018 85 days. Then amount 60,000. Rate of discount 4%. Then unexpired discount 60,000 into 4 divided by 100 into 85 divided by 365. That's equal to rupees 559. Second bill, that bill discounted on 19/9/2018. Its term is 4 months. If we add 4 months to this 19/9/2018, we get 19/1/2019. We have to add 3 days for calculating due date. So due date 22/1/2019. Number of days after 31st December 2018 22 days. Amount of that bill 1 lakh. Rate of discount of 4%. Unexpired discount 1 lakh into 4 divided by 100 into 22 divided by 365. That's equal to rupees 241. Our third bill discounted on 20/10/2018. So terms 3 months. If we add 3 months to this 20/10/2018, we get 21/2019. For computing due date, we have to add 3 days of grace. Due date 23/1/2019. Number of days after 31st December 2018 23 days. Amount of that bill 4 lakh. Rate of discount 4%. Unexpired discount 4 lakh into 4 divided by 100 into 23 divided by 365. That is equal to rupees 1008. Our fourth bill discounted on 30/11/2018. It's the terms 5 months. If we add 5 months to this 30/11/2018, we get 30th April 2019. We add 3 days of grace. Then due date 3rd May 2019. Number of days after 31st December 2018 123 days. Amount of that bill 40,000. Rate of discount in percentage 4. Unexpired discount 40,000 into 4 divided by 100 into 123 divided by 365. That is equal to rupees 539. Then we take total of our unexpired discount 559 plus 241 plus 1008 plus 539. That is equal to rupees 2347. Rebate on bills discounted 2347. Then our journal entry, interest and discount account debtor 2347 to rebate on bills discounted 2347. Rebate on bills discounted rupees 2347 will be deducted from interest and discount in our profit and loss account. It will also appear on the liability side of balance sheet under the heading other liabilities and provisions. I think the topic explained here is clear for all of you. We will meet again in our coming sessions. Till then, goodbye.